I spent so much money. That was $1,500 that I just didn't get back at all. And I didn't get any of that money back. Hey guys, my name is Adrienne. I am currently studying to become a certified financial planner, and I post videos every week on all things investing and personal finance so that you can learn to steward your money well. Today is a very special video because when you are watching this, the day I post this is going to be the day before my birthday. So it is going to be my 26th birthday on March 2nd. So to celebrate my 26th birthday and the end of my 25th year of life, I am going to be doing 25 financial lessons I learned in 25 years of life. I have been keeping this list for probably the last year, just things that I thought about that I learned over the course of my life that I wanted to share with you guys. So the first lesson I learned is that I do not have to go to every social outing that happens if I don't actually like the activity. There were several times where my friends would go out and do something. The activity itself wasn't something that I was super passionate about. I think because of my FOMO or the fact that I just wanted to hang out with my friends, I would go do it even though it was really expensive. For example, I don't even want to name them in case my friends watch this, but one time I went paintballing, one time I went to this ice skating thing. It wasn't even fun for me. I just didn't want to be left out. The second lesson I learned is that if there is something I really, really want and I keep researching or looking into, I should really just buy it because I will be wasting more time thinking about buying the item than if I just bought the item and had it. My third financial lesson is to save now. The best time to have started saving was yesterday. The second best time is right now. Honestly, starting to save as early as you can. I started saving and investing when I was 18, and that has set me up very, very well for where I am and for where I want to be in the future. Definitely a financial lesson that I would want to share with anybody 25 or under to do. Financial lesson number 4, and this is especially for the ladies that watch my videos, is that if you are unhappy with a service or a product, speak up about it. I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about how women just naturally don't speak up for themselves as much as men. They were talking about the wage gap, and they were specifically talking about how men and women, even in the same jobs, men will almost always make more money because men know how to speak up for themselves. It's much more likely for a man to speak up and ask for a raise than for a female to ask for a raise. And so I've seen myself even do this, not necessarily in my job, but even if I'm at a restaurant and something is wrong with my food or something, I am much more likely to just not speak up about it. Really, if you're paying for something, if you're paying for a service or a product, you should be getting exactly what you're paying for. And so don't be afraid to speak up for what you paid for. The fifth financial lesson, and this one I think I alluded to in one of my past videos, it is to learn to sew. So I have spent a decent amount of money on alterations, and I was I could do this on my own. I know how to sew, and you'll just save a lot of money on alterations. If you ever need to make alterations, hem something, you will save so much money if you just do it on your own, because alterations, maybe it's just a DC thing, are very expensive. Financial lesson number 6 is to not act entitled to nicer things when I start making more money. This may be something you guys know as lifestyle inflation, when you start making more money and you start just buying nicer things and having nicer things. And I don't think that's bad to an extent. I remember the first month that I was in my engineering job, I spent so much money because I was just oh my gosh, I've made so much money now. I bought a pair of heels that I maybe wore once. I bought an electric scooter, was in an expensive apartment, not a super expensive apartment. It wasn't necessary to be paying that much in rent. I'm trying to sell those heels that I have, but I am going to keep my electric scooter. That electric scooter is super fun. Financial lesson number 7 is to not be so hard on yourself when you mess up financially. This is something I've learned to do, is to just give myself grace in certain periods of my life. I think I'm very hard on myself sometimes, especially in my financial life, just trying to make everything as efficient as it possibly can be. Something I've learned is to give myself grace because I'm always going to be learning, and everybody, when they make a mistake and when they experience that loss or that mistake, is when I think people really learn from their mistakes, because they they know not to do it again. It's kind of like when you tell the kid not to touch the stove and they touch it anyways, they don't listen to you. They're not going to know not to touch it until they actually touch it themselves. I feel like that's kind of like how it is with finances. Financial lesson number 8 is if you have a hobby that you just do for fun, there is no need for you to have like professional equipment. So I am super into photography, into cameras. I took photography in high school. It's kind of how I got into this whole YouTube thing. I've always been into photography, but it's always been something that's just been a hobby for me. So one of the things I bought when I first started my job was I bought a new camera lens that was $600. $600 for a camera lens just for fun. I love the camera lens, but there was no reason for me to need a camera lens that was $600. Absolutely none. The 9th financial lesson is to be generous and to be generous often. I find so much more joy when I give money away or I buy something for somebody else than I would be if I were to buy something for myself. So for me, it has always been a priority for me to tithe, to donate money to my church. Also, I support a few missionaries. Any scenario in which I find that God has put me in to give, I try to always give and give generously. Financial lesson number 10 is to skip the bachelorette parties, the bachelorette weekends, the destination trips. They're just not fun to me. I'm not the kind of person that likes to go out drinking and partying. They're expensive and they're just not worth it to me. I honestly would have so much more fun just staying at home by myself in my pajamas, like watching a movie. And I honestly don't think I would have FOMO about that because I'm just not into that whole scene. Financial lesson number 11 is that I do not need to spend $250 to get my hair done. And I've talked about this in my channel before. If it is part of like my entertainment budget that I get to do this every once in a while, like that's okay. But it's just a lot of money and a lot of maintenance. And I don't know if I'm up for that. Financial lesson number 12 is to not feel bad investing in your health, whether it be your physical, your spiritual, your emotional, your mental health, anything. Obviously, you don't go crazy, but I very much so prioritize my physical health, typically purchasing very healthy whole foods. I also am a member at a gym that I love to go to, and it's more expensive, but I love going to it, and that encourages me to work out and stay healthy. I also see a psychologist every week that is for my mental health. I also prioritize being involved in my church, so I spend a lot of time at my church and cultivating good relationships with the people there because that just feeds my soul to be able to have like deep relationships with other people. The 13th financial lesson is if you don't know how to fix something, don't try to. I specifically had a watch one time. I'm pretty sure I tried to replace the battery on my own, which cost maybe like $10 at like a watch store or something, but I tried to do it on my own and I ended up breaking the like mechanism on the watch, and it was this really cute watch that I'd had since I was a kid. So I ended up breaking it, and then to fix it, it cost me $50 to fix just because I wanted to save like $10, which was so dumb. So if you don't know how to fix something and you really can't learn, just pay somebody else to do it. You'll save money in the long run. The 14th financial lesson is to not fall for the Instagram marketing or the social media marketing. Oh my goodness, I've talked about this in the last video. There have been several things that I purchased or I was about to purchase. Like I almost bought a $200 jump rope. I've tried a lot of fitness products, the Verb energy bars, which actually those are really good, but they're really expensive. So if I didn't try them, I wouldn't know if they work. I've tried different protein powders. I've tried a lot of things that were just completely unnecessary, but I think because of COVID and out of boredom, I just tried them. I really didn't need any of those things. Financial lesson number 15, and this one is super important, is to schedule when subscriptions are supposed to renew in your calendar so that you know to cancel them if you want to cancel them. I have a Scott's Cheap Flights membership, the premium membership, and they send me emails when like flights have gone super cheap, and I meant to cancel it for the year because I wasn't really using it. I think it was during COVID. I forgot about it and I didn't cancel it and it charged me again, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but I just don't want you guys to get hit by some surprise charge if you don't want to. I feel like that happens to a lot of people where they just have these like reoccurring expenses that they just forget about. The 16th financial lesson that I learned was just because you can afford to live in an expensive place doesn't mean that you should. / don't spend a ton on rent. I am a firm believer that if you truly want to save a substantial amount of money is to save in 3 areas. 1, your education, 2, your car, and 3, where you live. live. Those are where you're going to actually save like hundreds, if not thousands of dollars per month or per year, honestly. For example, I had at one point been spending $1,000 on rent, and I did not need to be spending $1,000 on rent at that time in my life. The 17th financial lesson that I learned is to not pay for something or not purchase something unless I am absolutely sure I am going to be using it. I say that because I, at one point, was thinking about going and doing my master's, and I had actually paid for some of the classes that I was going to need to take. The master's program was in data science, and I ended up not going down that road, but I had already paid for the classes and I didn't get any of that money back. That was $1,500 that I just didn't get back at all. Which is like really disappointing. Not disappointing, but just like in the moment, I didn't need to actually pay for them when I did pay for them. I think being a young adult is a hard time because you're still trying to figure out what you want to do, and to just be okay with like being in this like ebb and flow kind of season. Lesson number 18 is that being in control of your finances is going to put you ahead in a lot of things in life. And I think a lot of people already know that, but this is what I mean when I say that. Specifically, a lot of times when you pay in full for something, you can save money. This doesn't always make sense, like paying in full for a car or paying in full for a house. For example, paying in full for car insurance sometimes gives you a discount than if you were to pay it month by month. Or a gym membership, sometimes if you pay in full for 6 months or a year, you get a discount than if you were to pay every month. Just having your money organized and you know where it is and having it saved can save you more in the long run. Saving money now can continue to save you money because you're not just like scrimping when something bad happens. For example, if you don't have enough money saved and you have to replace your tires on your car, then you're going to put that money on a credit card and you're going to go further into debt. Where if you have that money, then you just pay for the tires and you're not worrying about, shoot, where is that money coming from? Yes, that is what I mean by that. And there have been times when I have paid in full for something because it made more sense, because it would save me more money in the long run. Financial lesson number 19 is to stop buying one-time wear items. So for me, when I was in college, I went to several military balls. I would buy a dress for each of them. Completely unnecessary. They were like nice dresses that I wore one time. I ended up selling most of them. And that goes for if I've ever gone to a wedding. I've always seen people dress shopping because they're a guest in a wedding. And I just think that's crazy now. Like I have several dresses. I know people are like, I don't want to repeat outfits. But I mean, no one really cares what you're wearing. So I have like maybe 4 or 5 dresses or things I can wear to weddings, depending on the kind of wedding that I can like rotate through. So when something comes up, I know what I'm gonna wear. I'm not gonna go out and buy something new. And the same thing goes for bridesmaids dresses. I've been in 2 weddings, and one of them I could wear what I wanted as long as it fit the wedding. And they kept asking me if I wanted to buy a new dress, and I was like, no. I was like, I have a dress. I'm not gonna spend money on buying a new dress. It's like not necessary. It's not worth it. Anyways, that's my rant on one-time wear things. Financial lesson number 20 is to be creative about the things that you need. So what I'm talking about is specifically me furnishing my home. I spent very little money on furnishing my house. I was very patient in waiting and seeing what came up around me of people who were trying to get rid of things. My entire living room, I got all the furniture there for free. The only thing I bought, and I've talked about this before, is a custom cushion that I got made for this bench in the kitchen. Financial lesson number 21 is that it's okay if not every season you're in is a season where you are hardcore saving money. So for me, this season of my life I'm in is not one that I'm like grinding. I'm not working a normal job, and I am so at peace about that. So much more at peace about that than when I was in a season of just grinding and making money and trying to save as much as I can. Like I think there is a time and place for seasons like that. I think that continually being in a season like that can put somebody in just a very worn out state, just a burnt out state. And I am careful about that for myself. That's not necessarily true for everybody, but for me and myself, I am very aware of that happening. Lesson number 22 is to pursue what I love, and knowing that money is important, but it is not the most important thing, and it does not define who I am. If you've seen any of my other videos, you knew I quit my job as an engineer in January to pursue financial planning, something that I really love to do. And I don't regret that decision at all. I've made several videos on that whole topic, so I will link some down in the description box below if you want to check them out. Financial lesson number 23 is quality over quantity. That goes chose for my backpack. This backpack I've had for, I don't know, a couple years now, and it's a Nomo London backpack, and it's so cute. It's just very stylish, but it's also super functional, but it was not cheap. I have figured out that I'm the kind of person who appreciates not having a ton of things, but having some very, very good quality things that last a long time and that I can take care of. The 24th financial lesson that I have is, I'm gonna read this because I wrote it down. The older I get, the more I realize how much knowing the tax system is where the rich save money. So inform yourself about the tax system and how to use it to your advantage. So I filmed a whole video on different tax credits and tax deductions that you may qualify for. So if you want to check that out, you can go check that out. I'll put a link up here. But yeah, I've really figured out that taxes is where the rich save money, figuring out the tax system. So I feel like a lot of my emphasis is learning the tax system and how I can save the most money through that, and what I can do with my finances to legally save money. And financial lesson 25 is that money is important, but it is not the end all be all. It's not the end goal at all. Jesus is the end goal. My utmost goal ever for the rest of my life is to always glorify God in every facet of my life, and that includes how I steward my money, how I manage my money, and how I honor Him with the gifts He's given me, including the money that He has given me. My faith is the most important thing in my life. Money is important, and this channel is so much fun. I have no identity without Christ, and I am so happy that my identity is not found in anything else, because everything else is just sinking sand. I was reading this book. I'm gonna go get it. I was reading this book. It's called The Uniform of Leadership, and it's about this guy who used to work at ESPN, and it talks about a lot of his experiences of working at ESPN as a Christian and the things he learned in that experience. And one of the things he talks about is finding your identity in Christ. He says, wearing your uniform the right way as a leader begins with having an unshakable identity. For me, that rock solid identity is in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. In my salvation, I am secure, whole, and unconditionally loved. Whenever I try something new and fail, whenever my expectations are not met, whenever I give my all and do my best in the pursuit of excellence, yet am still met with harsh judgment or disappointment, I am challenged to rest in my unchanging, unshakable identity. And that is exactly spot on what I'm talking about. That my identity is not in how much money I have, or how many views I have on YouTube, or how many subscribers I have on YouTube, or how much people like me. My identity is in Christ, and nothing anybody ever tells me or criticizes me about is going to change that. And that is the premise of everything. I'm about halfway through this book right now. It's really good. I will link it down below if you want to check it out. Let me know down in the comments which lesson stuck out to you the most. I hope you guys have liked this video. If you can tell, I'm actually back with my family in California because my dad had back surgery, so I'm just here watching over him, helping him get back on his feet. I will be here for a little while before I go back to my home. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe down below, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye guys.